A few months ago, it came out that Netflix was encouraging its writers and producers to have their characters announce what they are doing so that viewers who have the program on in the background can follow along. Originally reported by Will Tavlin of N+1, this report ruffled some feathers. It would be easy for me to make a 12 to 22 minute video about how hearing this would be a slap in the face to a writer, how the studios are done competing with people's phones, and how this is just another step in the slog towards idiocracy. But seeing as everyone else has already done that, I won't. Nor will this be the 400,000th video essay explaining show don't tell. For once, I'm going to approach the topic less as a writer and more as an audience member, because I'm one of those too. And to be quite honest, a decent amount of the time I am one of those people who has Netflix on in the background while I only half pay attention. This video isn't going to be pro brain rot, but it's also not going to just say put down your dang phones. I'm going to try and end up somewhere in the middle. For the last several years, I have been only partly facetiously dividing visual media into two categories: Monitor 1 and Monitor 2 content. Monitor 1 content holds your entire attention and is the main or only activity you're doing while you watch it. Monitor 2 content is on in the background. While you glance at it now and then, it is functioning as an audio medium at least as often as it is a visual one. This could be while you work, do chores, or play Terraria. These descriptions don't just apply to those at desktop computers with multiple displays. Your Monitor 1 could be your TV or your laptop, while your Monitor 2 could be your phone or a tablet. At first glance, the mere existence of a visual work of art that is not watched seems to imply that at some point in the process there was a failure. But I don't think that's always the case. In the modern landscape of people always having more than one screen at their disposal, I think the existence of Monitor 2 content can sometimes be okay. Sometimes you just need some noise to occupy your mind that you can glance at now and then while you do something annoying on your main monitor, like data transfer or answering emails. I'm sure many of you watching this video have me on your second monitor right now. Don't worry, no hard feelings. I think YouTube videos of people talking into microphones are a perfect example of good Monitor 2 content. While my Monitor 2 content of choice usually consists of video essays about dinosaurs or video games I'll never play, now and then Netflix will find itself there. And as expressed by Tavlin, Netflix is aware of this. Reportedly, one of their many internal microgenres is casual viewing, which happens to be the title of Tavlin's essay. Shows and movies with the casual viewing tag have what those in the biz have started to call second screen appeal, which is exactly what it sounds like. Some members of this illustrious category are more obvious than others, like the reality and game shows, but the line does get a bit blurry. The second season of Netflix's The Night Agent dropped a couple of days ago, and I am not ashamed to admit that 7 of its episodes have already graced my second monitor. The Night Agent falls into a funny little gray area. It isn't the series of totally unrelated events you get between episodes of a game show, but it's also not a show that can hold my entire attention. Nor do I think it was intended to. There are important plot points, which will be reiterated over and over again. There are several character arcs, which will be described aloud in excruciating detail several times. And finally, it is clearly evident that to those who made all of the decisions about the Night Agent's production, quality was not one of their top priorities. The plot on paper is fine. It's par for the course for another forgettable spy thriller with a romantic subplot, but the show's pacing is frenetic. Sometimes it's rushed, sometimes it slows to a crawl. Its dialogues are stilted and disconnected, with actors delivering the lines written in the script, but often emphasizing the wrong ones. There are several scenes wherein a character is answering a question, but does not stress the part of the sentence that imparts the relevant information.
So, here I am.
Thank you. Do you know Peter Sutherland?
Peter works for me.
Is he okay?
This character sounds like they are giving an answer to a different question.
Do you know Peter Sutherland?
Peter works for me.
The way the actor delivers the line would sound totally natural if the question they were answering was, who does Peter work for?
Peter works for me.
Is he okay?
When the emphasis should, in my opinion, be put on the word works, the part of the sentence which is actually answering the question.
Do you know Peter Sutherland?
Peter works for me. Or with a slightly cagier tone, maybe more fitting of the character, Peter works for me. Now, I'm not a linguist. I'm sure Dr. Jeff Lindsay could give a much more intricate explanation, but to my American English-speaking ear, this sounds unnatural.
So, here I am.
Thank you. Do you know Peter Sutherland?
Peter works for me.
Is he okay?
I don't have any insider information on what the Night Agent's production process was like, but I feel like this could have been fixed at the table read. All of these blemishes are indicative of a rush job. Rough edges which could have been smoothed out with a little more time and care. Which is a point in favor of the opinion that Netflix is just churning out as many episodes of as many shows as possible with little mind given to quality, all to make sure you have a never-ending queue of slop that you can half watch and not really pay attention to. Which is true, but it's not the point of the video. But don't worry, I don't believe The Night Agent to be the death knell of an art form. In fact, media of this quality has existed for a while, especially in the realm of television. While I was watching it, The Night Agent gave me a familiar feeling. The belaboring of plot points, the robotic dialogue between relatively unknown actors, except for a couple of cameos from Brittany Snow and Nathan Fillion. Hey guys, how's it going? And personal relationships which go from amazing to terrible and then back to amazing, all within the course of like 2 episodes. It reminded me of the CW. The CW and several of its original shows will always have a special place in my heart. In fact, I'm old enough to remember when it was called the WB because I was watching it back then too. For the rest of my life, those first few notes of the chorus of Save Me by Remy Zero will activate me like a sleeper agent. All of that to say, I'm not here to rag on the CW, but its shows were not the pinnacle of quality, and minimizing production time and cost was always at the very top of their list of priorities. And so, when I watched Night Agent Season 1 several years ago, I assumed that most of its flaws were, like many CW shows, because of time and budget constraints. That when an actor verbalized what their character was feeling, instead of being given a chance to, act, and then 2 scenes later when the same character reiterates that same verbalized feeling, maybe this wasn't unintentional choppiness, maybe it was the show trying to bolster its second screen appeal. But all of the repetition and beating the audience over the head with relevant plot points and repeating themselves and repetition pushes what could feasibly have been Monitor 1 content firmly into the realm of Monitor 2. To be honest, all of the reiteration makes The Night Agent pretty hard to watch if that's all you're doing. It's almost like you're being punished for giving your full attention to a show which never intended to have it. It can be discouraging as an audience member to gaze upon the reality of modern media. Streaming services releasing a never-ending conveyor belt of shows and movies, which they have literally arranged into a never-ending conveyor belt. And when I start to succumb to the feeling that it's all slop, I can start to treat all of it like it's Monitor 2 content, which is a bad thing. There is a feeling that I, and probably many of you, get after finishing a particularly good narrative. A sort of afterglow or catharsis. A feeling of being spiritually full, completely sated. I love this feeling. In fact, the thought that I could give someone else a chance to feel it is why I wanted to be a writer in the first place. I don't get it every time a narrative ends. I've found it happens most often with books, a little less often with movies and stage productions, and less still with television. But I can tell you that I've never gotten it from Monitor 2 content. I've never gotten it from something I only half watched while scrolling on my phone or doing laundry. So if I fall into the trap of treating all content like Monitor 2 content, I'm never going to have that feeling again. And I don't want that. I guess what I mean to say is, I believe it is important to give art a chance to be good. This is a two-pronged issue. Studios need to give art a chance to be good before they swoop in with a bunch of analytics-driven homogenizing rewrites, but we, the audience, also have to give art a chance to be good before we pull out our phones and start scrolling Twitter or TikTok. Once again, this isn't some great commission to cancel all your subscriptions and watch only independent films, nor am I suggesting you get one of those timed lock boxes for your phone to force yourself to give every TV show your full attention. If you give the art a chance and it's just not doing it for you, there is no shame in throwing it on your second monitor while you answer some emails, but at least give it a chance. I liken this issue to a person's relationship with food, where quality art is a home-cooked, well-balanced meal, and the low-effort, instant gratification Monitor 2 content is junk food. A totally healthy lifestyle can incorporate junk food now and then, but if the junk becomes your normal, it's probably time to take a look at your habits and change a few of them. On another, more dystopian side of the issue, I think it's possible that Netflix's view on second screen appeal might be a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't have any information on Netflix specifically, but I do have information on a couple of other internet-facing corporations, and I can tell you that what they love more than anything are analytics. I don't know the exact depth of information that a streaming service can glean from its users, but I can assure you it's not nothing. I know for sure that Netflix can tell when the thing you are watching is not in your active tab, and I would be very surprised if they did not have many other complicated ways of inferring whether you are fully paying attention to a show or just have it on in the background. This is not a particularly pro-Netflix video, but the platform has given us some truly amazing things. I know it was only distributed by Netflix, but the second season of Arcane was incredible. I don't think it was quite as good as the first season, but it was a 10 out of 10 regardless. The Diplomat, which also just released its second season, was fantastic. And my vote for the most underrated thing on the entirety of Netflix is Maniac with Emma Stone and Jonah Hill. It's weird and melancholy but fun, and exactly the kind of show I wish there were more of. If their analytics tell them that Monitor 2 content is what people want, they're just going to keep making more of it. And according to Tavlin's essay, it seems like they already are. And if their numbers say that audiences are treating the higher cost, riskier labors of love as casual viewing, we might start to see them a little less. I'm okay with this existing, but I really don't want this to go away. Thanks for watching, everybody. First off, sorry for the delay. I fell into the trap of mostly finishing 3 scripts before completely finishing 1. The next video will be the second to last episode of World Building Praxis, where we design the local area for our adventure. If you want to support me, you can do all that normal stuff down here. It really does help a lot. Or you can head over to the Patreon, where you can see the videos early for $1 or get your name into the credits for $5. See ya. But we, the audience, need to give chance to be art? Huh?